right here.
Yeah, we just scared a mother hen. We'll leave and let her get back to her babies. Soon to be babies. Hello, I'm Ajahn Jotipalo. Welcome to Sauntering into Silence, in one of my rare videos of which I'm indoors. It's been really windy all week, and I've been trying to film this outside, and it's just not working. Hello, I'm Ajahn Jotipalo. Welcome to Sauntering into Silence, with a windy afternoon and some common crows greeting me. Also some other wildlife out there on the lake. Ajahn Sona just finished teaching 2 retreats based on the theme of the Brahma Viharas called Cool Head, Warm Heart. And this is a subject that I've been diving into a lot deeper this year. And so I was just listening to a lot of Dhamma talks and doing some readings on the subject. So I'm seeing it in a new light. Maybe it's just because I've been practicing for a while now and just going back and hearing teachings that I heard a long time ago and just seeing them with different knowledge. I hope that's the case. One of the talks that I heard that made an impression on me was from Ajahn Sona on a teaching of the Brahma Viharas. And made the point that of the first 3 of the Brahma Viharas, metta, karuna, mudita, translated roughly as loving kindness, compassion, and joy at other people's good fortune, that's actually really all the same practice. It really is just loving kindness, but it's loving kindness towards all beings, loving kindness towards people who are suffering, or loving kindness towards people who are experiencing good fortune. And then there's the equanimity practices. During this retreat, Ajahn Sona kind of even expanded on that a little bit more and said something I've never heard anybody ever say before, which is that the translation for karuna, which is often translated as compassion, he doesn't think is a very good translation. Because if you look at the word, which I did, I looked it up today, if you look it up, compassion, the Latin root for that is compati, which means to suffer with. But as a Brahma Vihara, karuna, it's a heavenly mind state. It's not a state of suffering. Just looking at different translations of the word compassion, most of them had some sort of aspect of you are supposed to be kind of suffering with the person that you're trying to help. It's like taking on their suffering or suffering with them. And that is not at all what compassion is. I think it's interesting what Ajahn Sona was bringing up, just the fact that the word compassion already has a history. Like we already have a sort of sense of how we use it in the West, which maybe isn't actually accurate for what the meaning of karuna is. And I think this is interesting because I've often questioned metta as being translated as loving kindness, because I heard one teacher say there's no such thing as loving hatred, or you can't really love your enemies, someone who's difficult. You can wish them well, so that's why I like the translation of just goodwill. There are other translations that are good as well, but so I've always questioned the translation of metta, but I've never questioned the translation of karuna, even though whenever it's being taught, you just hear sometimes like 5-10 minutes of explaining that, yes, it's you're caring about somebody else, but you're not taking on the suffering. But I really got it during this retreat, and I don't know if Ajahn Sona said this directly or if it's what I took out of it. When you look at those first 3, metta, karuna, and mudita, it's not compassion, but what it is can I... Now it's interesting because I just said I don't like the word love in terms of metta, but I like it here. So it's like, can I love the person who's suffering? And can I love the person who's experiencing great joy? When you think about it, it's like oftentimes, we definitely want to help somebody who's in pain, But that's actually not karuna. That's actually wisdom. That's actually kindness. That's just being a good person. But it's not actually karuna, because karuna is, can I just love the person that is suffering? And someone who is suffering, well, actually, one of the translations I heard today about compassion was, it's like knowing that someone is in pain, and then trying to do something to help them, to alleviate it. But I don't think actually karuna actually means that. It doesn't mean that you actually have to go and help somebody, but can you love that person? Can you actually support them? Because oftentimes, if we think we have to be able to help them, because oftentimes we can't, and that's where equanimity comes in, because people are the heirs of their own karma. That's the chant that we do. Sometimes just being present for somebody, like we can't actually take on their suffering. We can't actually we don't even know what they need, but just to be there for them, just to say, not to turn away, not to be afraid of it, not to run away, but to love them and just to be there. There's probably a lot more I could say on this subject, but I will leave that for our contemplation. Thanks for watching. I found a more sheltered place. I should have given the talk here, but I don't think it's as safe.